Hey everyone, it's MissMintYT and welcome back to another video. Today we are finally back with another build, and it seems so long since I've done a build video, and especially one that was this fun for me. I think the last build I did was the Tetris build, the blue Tetris build, and that seemed like so long ago. I think it seems like such a while since I've posted one on the channel, even though I have actually been building myself in the game. I just haven't been recording it, which I don't know, it just seems kind of weird not to do one, because I used to do quite a few builds and that's all I really did more, but now I do more let's plays, I guess. Well, that's what I've been focusing on more recently, and then the building I have been doing is for my let's play, but I decided to just not record that just because it would take me a lot longer to like edit it and record it rather than just doing it and be able to do it in my let's play, if that makes sense, which it probably doesn't, but you know, gonna roll with it. So the reason it took me so long to get this video edited and recorded is because Movie Maker was actually telling me my files were corrupted. It was like, no, you cannot put this in your little video because it's corrupted. And I was like, no it's not, I know it isn't. And it was weird as well because it wasn't all of the files, because if it makes sense, I sort of recorded little bits of this and then I put them all together, so it's not one long recording, if that makes sense. It was just a few of the little snippets near the end of the build that it was saying was bad, and I was like, what? There's no way that's even possible, okay? Don't even go there. Don't tell me I've been sitting here doing this build and I can't do it. But it decided to, you know, because it doesn't really like me, and it's now working, fingers crossed, and it has been for about a week or so. So hopefully I'm not going to be doing any more builds soon that are going to be classed as corrupted, because it really does annoy me when I've put a lot of work and effort into a build, especially a build like this which I really enjoyed and I really wanted to share. Out of all of the builds I have done, this is one that I really did want to share in general. When I've worked so hard on something like this, I don't want it to go and tell me it's corrupted, you know, when I know it isn't. There's no way it could be that dodgy. I mean, I'm not using anything dodgy. I've been using what I've always been using to record and film and whatnot. So now hopefully it's fine and it's all working. So a bit about the house rather than Movie Maker, because that's all I've really talked about. This is a house on the hills and it's just so sweet and gorgeous and I absolutely love it. It is meant to be a rental home, but your Sims could use it for an actual home instead, I guess. The only reason I did it as a rental home is because it fits so well into the Granite Falls look. It fits into that theme and it doesn't look out of place. I mean, if you put a massive hill in the middle of Willow Creek, I do not think it would look anywhere near as good as it does now. Not saying that it's a good build, like trying to sound vain, but it wouldn't look good at all. I think it would just look out of place in a bit, you know, what the hell is this massive mountain doing here? But I think it fits well into the theme of the forest and amongst the trees, and there's mountains in the background as well, so I think it fits into that gist and the vibe really well. And I wouldn't personally use it as a house to live in. I would just keep it as a rental home, whereas my Sims could just go on holiday. They can take their whole family, because I think there's three bedrooms altogether, so they could take their family, they could take their kids, their mums, their dads, whatever, their friends, and they can just have a nice holiday there rather than living there and, you know, just having a standard lifestyle there, because I don't think it would fit as well. So that's what I would use it for. I will put it on the gallery, by the way, so if you did want to download it, and you can use it any way you want, you could use it as rental, you could use it as residential. I think on the gallery it comes up as a rental home, because you can't technically build in Granite Falls without a cheat, so I don't know if it will come up as a rental or residential. I'm not quite sure, but it will be on there under the username MissMintYT for YouTube, which will be all my creations will be with all of my other creations on there, which include quite a few builds I've also done on this channel too, so be sure to go and check that out if you like the house. And then it didn't actually take me too long to actually do the actual house. It was more the exterior and the landscaping. That was the bit that took me a while. This build did take me over 2 hours, but I would say only half an hour was actually the actual inside of the house and the windows and whatnot, everything to do with the house. The rest was placing stones and rocks and trees and stuff like that, just to make it more realistic as it can be. So it wasn't a particularly long build because it's not a particularly big house, because I think the thing that takes me a while in builds is the interior of houses, because that isn't my strongest point. I much prefer to do the exterior than the interior. It's just, you know, it's just my thing more. Some people perhaps prefer to do the interior because I suppose you can be a bit more creative in a way. You can still be creative on the outside, but just with the interior you can sort of choose all these like bookshelves and kitchen cabinets and make things coordinate, and that doesn't really work for me. I think if The Sims 4 included creator style where I could choose my own patterns and designs, that would work more, but when it's all set and I have to try and find stuff that match, it's not as easy for me to do that as it is to do the outside. So that is why I don't think this build took me too long, because obviously the inside is quite small. It's relatively small, so it's not, whoa, massive mansion on top of the hill. It's just a small little dainty family home, which didn't take me too long to finish, which was good for me. So I was trying to make it look more realistic with all like the green wall fluffy leaf things, but what are they actually called? Wall hedges? Wall I forgot what they're called. Wall climbers? I don't know. But the plants that go on the walls, I tried to make it more realistic with that. And then it came to me, why not use rocks to make it look more flowing? Because at the moment, it looks quite jagged. I mean, it's all square and blocky and it's all Minecrafty in a way. So I decided to use rocks to make it a lot more flowing. Obviously not all the way around, because that would have took me like all day. But I did do in patches the rocks flowing, which you will see a bit later on in the build, and that's what took a while. That must have took me at least 45 minutes, if not an hour, just to place them rocks, which it got a bit repetitive after a while, as you can imagine. Size up the rock, place it, size up the rock, place it. It was just an ongoing loop. But I think it helped the build look more realistic. I don't know what I was going to say then, the word wasn't coming out. So it helped the build look more realistic, and it helped it just in general look a bit better. Because with The Sims 4, if you're not too familiar with it, you can't get the terrain tools like you can in The Sims 3. So in The Sims 3, if you've been playing The Sims as long as I have, and you did have The Sims 3, you would know that you could use a tool that just raised the land in like a natural hill, and that was a really useful tool because it just made the builds look more realistic. So you could have a little hill behind the house, you could have a little dip where you could put pond, you could just create like a rugged terrain, whereas in The Sims 4 you don't have that. So the only way to create a hill or a different level rather than it being flat is to use walls, which I guess is alright, but the problem with using walls is obviously it's very boxy and not very natural, you know? So I do miss having that tool. I didn't realise that tool was missing. Well, I knew it wasn't there, but you know, you don't think, oh gosh, I really wish I had that, until you actually need it when you're doing a build like this. But I suppose you don't need it too often, you don't need it all the time, but it is something useful to have, and I wish we did have it. But in The Sims 4 we don't have a lot of things that The Sims 3 had, which is kind of upsetting, because I do like The Sims 4, don't get me wrong. It is a good game. I mean, I do enjoy playing it. I play it like every day of my life, pretty much anyway. And the graphics are really good, and it doesn't lag as much as The Sims 3 did, but then it hasn't got as much content as The Sims 3 did, and I wish it had more content like The Sims 3, and I think the only thing it really makes up for in that sense is it doesn't lag. So it's like we've taken this content away from you in return for having it not lag. But, you know, it's sort of one of them things. You don't want your game to be all slow, like, oh gosh, every time I click on the fridge it freezes. Like, you don't want that to happen, but you also want enough content to be able to enjoy the game. I mean, when you read the comments on Facebook, because you know how The Sims has an official Facebook page, where they post things on there, all the comments on there are always really negative, like, oh, I stick with The Sims 3, I can't be doing with The Sims 4, I get bored of it. And I can see where these people are coming from, because they don't give you much content at all, I guess. It's just a bit lack, especially at the moment. There hasn't even been an expansion pack release. I think everybody just wants, like, come on, where the hell is our expansion pack? Because they haven't released one in so long. But all the comments on there are always really negative, and there's a lot of things about, oh, I'm not going to bother with The Sims 4, I'm just going to stick with The Sims 3 because of the content and things like that. And in a way, I'm like, yeah, I do like The Sims 3. I mean, The Sims 3 is a really good game. You can't knock it. It's just overall, for the time it came out as well, which is quite a few years ago now, the quality of the game is so good. It's got so much content in it. But then when you come to The Sims 4, after playing The Sims 3, you realise that it's so much quicker in a sense. You know, I know you have loading screens and things, but it's just smoother, and the graphics are smoother, and the whole look of it is smoother. So you sort of think, oh gosh, I really missed the stuff out of The Sims 3, and then you think, when you actually go back to play The Sims 3, you then think, oh gosh, I really missed the smoothness out of The Sims 4. So I would like them to do a Sims 5 where it was like a mix of the two. So you had all the amazing things about The Sims 3, but then you had the smoothness and the graphics of The Sims 4. I think that, oh gosh, what was that noise? I think that would be their best thing to do. Just start Sims 5 where they completely remaster The Sims 3 with the quality of The Sims 4, which I suppose wouldn't be too hard because The Sims 3 came out quite a while ago. So anyway, my rant over, which I probably repeated myself about 20 times. We're now on the inside, and we're doing the kitchen and the dining room, and I do really love the kitchen in particular. I think it's really sweet. It's kind of cottagey, it's cute, it's a mix of modern and traditional. I would say this house, in places it's quite traditional, in places it's quite modern, which I like. It's sort of like a mix, you know, and I like a mix of styles. I think rather than having just one solid colour scheme or one solid style, I like to have a sort of mixture to mix it up a bit, to make it a bit different. So the kitchen took me the longest out of all the places, just because I had to fit the dining room in there with it. It's not that I necessarily wanted to, it's just that's where I had to put it in. There was no more room, so I had to sort of mix the walls around and sort of change the placing of it, and eventually we got there. I think we did anyway. I really like the colour scheme of that room in particular, and I think I did a good job to manage to squeeze a big dining table in there, because at first I was like, gosh, there's no way I'm going to be able to fit that in there. But in the end, I managed it, and we managed to get a big dining table for 6 Sims on there. And if you haven't already seen much of the rocks, you can see them out there now. I didn't show too much of that in the actual video, because obviously, like I said, it took me so long and I didn't want to fit it all in there. But you did hopefully get enough of a glance to see what was going on and what was the gist there, because I didn't want to show like half an hour of me placing rocks, because that's probably how long it would take even when sped up. So yeah, Anyway, we are doing the living room now, which is by far my favourite part of the house. I feel like I'm running out of things to say because I've been speaking non-stop for 15 minutes, so my throat is going dry. After my long rant about The Sims 3, I'm sort of struggling now. So, the upstairs is a lot bigger than the downstairs as well. I didn't actually quite notice how big it was until I started finishing it. I was like, oh my gosh, I only wanted like 2 bedrooms in this house. But I managed to put 3 bedrooms and like an entertainment room, which I thought was kind of sweet to have an entertainment room in there, because I thought, you know, if you're going to come on a holiday, you're going to bring your friends, then you're going to want some place to have a drink or have a dance and things like that, just to entertain yourselves. So you don't always have to go out into the forest and start foraging whatever to entertain yourselves. You can just go to that room, and there are computers as well, so there is enough entertainment for your Sims, which I always think is a necessary, even if it doesn't fit into the build that well. I try to put I'm going to try anyway, from now on, to put as many fun building objects in there as possible, because I notice when there isn't enough, it is so hard to put their needs up, to get their, not social, to get their fun need up. It is completely and utterly impossible. I mean, on my Disney Legacy LP, I obviously have them live in a traditional house because it's Snow White, she lives in a cottage, and I just wanted her to have a traditional little house, nothing too modern. So obviously I make it all rustic and all oldie worldy, but there is only a bookshelf in there for fun building, and oh my gosh, how long it takes me to build their fun need is ridiculous. I mean, they never even want to they never even want to read the books. They just leave it, they don't try, especially with having so many Sims in the household. I have about, how many Sims do I have now? I have Snow White, I have, do I have 4 children? I think there's 4 children. She has 4 children. I had to check that. I haven't played that game in so long. That save file, I mean. So she has 4 children, so 5 Sims to keep entertained on just a bookshelf is, gosh, it's impossible. It is so hard. So I would recommend trying to put a computer in, even in traditional builds, which I did in this. There's a computer in nearly every bedroom, I think, which is quite decent in terms of fun building. I know when I'm bored, I usually head for the computer to go and play The Sims. So I'm getting that most Sims will do that as well, because really, not many people are into reading that much nowadays. I mean, some people would still like it, but people are more gadgety and technology, and that sort of reflects on The Sims as well, because my Sims, I don't know about yours, never like reading books. They just go straight for the computer. And another thing I find, if you have a big household and there's only one computer, they all seem to like fight over it. They all just want to get to the computer all the time. So like, oh, that person's off it, quick, let's go on it. I don't know about you, but I've had that before, and it's kind of annoying, because like, gosh, leave the damn computer alone. We don't can you go and do something else for once, rather than just sit playing bloody Blick Block on the computer. But yeah, so that is a sufficient amount in that for fun building. So the bedrooms as well are reasonably sized, so they're not tidgy-widgy tiny bedrooms which only have 1 bed in. There is actually enough room for 6 Sims. There's actually enough room for 6, as long as 4 of them are in a couple. So you've got 2 double beds and a twin room. So if you had loads of single Sims like friends, I don't think that would work. Can friends sleep together in the same bed? I'm not sure, but if you had all acquaintances or whatnot, that wouldn't work. But if you had Sims in a relationship, it would. That's what I'm trying to put across anyway. I probably never make sense 99.9, wait no, 99 yeah, I still not making sense. I probably never make sense 99.9% of the time, but you know, you gotta just go with it. You've gotta roll with the recording. I seem to have a hard time keeping up with what is happening. I'm like, oh gosh, I should be telling them about this, but instead I'm too busy talking about The Sims 3. So I'm sorry about that if that ever comes across to you guys as, gosh, this girl is not making sense. What the hell is she talking about? Jeez. I do try my best. I try. I think I'm improving. I hope so anyway, you know. Over the past few videos, I feel like I'm getting a bit better at it, as good as I can become anyway. So now we are on the last bedroom. Yeah, the last bedroom. This is the twin room, and I do really like that room. I love them beds. I just think they are simply gorgeous, and it just fits in so well. So now we are on the screenshots, and yes, it does look quite a beautiful house where it is placed anyway. And oh, I just think it's gorgeous. It's actually placed on the Granite Falls park lot, so it's away from all the other rental homes, and it's just nice and secluded by itself. So anyway guys, I'm going to leave this video here. If you did enjoy it, please don't forget to leave a like or a comment. Will be really cool too. I love to hear what you've got to say, or if you have any suggestions of other builds you want me to do, or any let's plays, ideas, challenges, whatever. And if you do want to know more about when my videos come out, or you simply just want to support the channel, please don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.